Hi there, welcome to Litecoin Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So last week we were talking about is Litecoin getting close to the end of accumulation, and surprisingly it has given us a pretty good rebound from the sign of weakness and all the way to a point where it's surpassing the last bump or mini peak right after the automatic reaction, so the leg downwards during end of August. So now let's take a look at both the weekly and daily time frames again and see where it's heading. So previously we have put in this LPSY tag over here, asking if it's going to return after the bounce from the sign of weakness. Currently at this level, where the high point was even higher than what we had back in beginning of September, the second test over here, I would adjust these instead of an up thrust. I would say it's just a second test for now, and I'll increase this to 30% chance. This LPSY would still be valid. I'll explain why I'm bringing up this percentage. I'm just looking at this volume bar over here. For the past 5 weeks, this has been the highest volume, and also it has pushed the price past this green key level. So that's a level that the past 4 weeks hasn't been able to break above. So this 116 green key level, if I zoom in more, you'll be able to see, just in case you're watching on a mobile device. So now we have broken through a key level, and that's why I'm setting this over here. It's basically showing us a more positive scenario now, and well, actually instead of 30 it should be 40 and 60. And over here we see we're still within the upward channel box, this blue box over here, and the sign of weakness hasn't fallen outside of it. So that's another supportive sign that the uptrend hasn't finished yet. Is only the only reason I'm not putting this at a higher percentage is because of this wick up here. Because if it's a shorter wick, this would have become like flipped. This is 60, this is 40. But this wick here is telling me there's quite a bit of selling pressure when the price got to the level of the buying climax right over here. So you see, that's where those candles closes or opens, and that's where the prices got pushed down to the similar level of what we had this week, around $124. So that's why I'm saying, by looking at this, there seems quite strong selling pressure. Maybe that's from this stage when a bunch of people got in holding Litecoin at that price, and now that the price has got to close enough, they're selling off whatever they have just to minimize their losses. Understandable, and it's also near the year end for taxation reason or whatever reason. That's a good move. And then here, if the price continues to trade sideways, there's not much of an immediate time point that we have to worry about. I'm trying to extend this channel box. Just the closest one that we can see, if it falls back down to below the green key level but stays within the box, the channel box, this time point near Christmas, let's put it this way, the week of Christmas, is when a breakout is likely going to happen, assuming it's trading underneath the green. That's the prerequisite. If it doesn't, if it stays above the green, obviously it's got more time to play with. That's all the way till first quarter of next year. So 2 months into 2026, there's still room for Litecoin to play around if it stays above this green key level of 116 and within this uptrend. So that's the big picture, and that's when the price would eventually get to a selling climax or even an up thrust. So if it closes above this point, that's already a good sign and an up thrust over there. And we hope to see it because last time the buying climax back in December 2024 was about the white line above this level. That's about $130 to $33. That's where we want the actual or the higher peak goes to, not the one we had back in August. That's not too bad, but a bit disappointing because it's still about like 10% below the peak last time. If we measure the top price to the one we had, yeah, 9 to 10% over there, same. So let's get to, before getting to the daily, just switching on this Bollinger Band Corner squeeze. To quickly check, if it trades sideways, there's a chance for the force to build up, but then yeah, it's still too early to tell because it's a weekly chart. It may take almost a month for that squeeze to happen. The squeeze force in the daily chart has already been released because we had the squeeze all the way till September 21st, and then it got released, and we're still within the swing range, the post squeeze swing over here. So that was the squeeze at this range, and then we are having the swing post squeeze. Still haven't died down, but what happened was we talked about potential time window around end of this month. But you see what happened, right? It happened way earlier. The breakout already happened on the 2nd. It basically left this downward trend box and had it above the green line. That's why I adjusted the percentages earlier. Whether it's going to UTAD for the daily time frame, it's still too early to tell. This obviously may take longer now. So this channel box, I'll let it finish right at this point because this may have started a new uptrend. However, there are multiple obstacles. So now it has broken through the first obstacle, the green line. The second one will be this white line we talked about $132. Eventually, the ceiling of this upward channel box. So those are the levels the bulls have to fight in order to give us a challenge to a higher level, at least above this white line of $132. That's what we had for multiple times, even this year, January, February. Okay. Any particular trends that I haven't noticed? Just trying to see if I were to draw an upward trend box now. It's still too early, but we've got sufficient reference points, so we can definitely give it a try. So assuming the LPSY and the sign of weakness are our reference points. So we've got this box going on. Not to like exclude this, we have to include this. It's pretty flat as of this moment because it's just started. We will know once it swings bigger, but for now, this is what we have. So assuming that's the case, we see the bounce, the ceiling, the bottom, close to the ceiling, if we switch to candlestick charts, you see the wicks actually touches the ceiling and the bottom. If this box is really what we are having now, it may trade bouncing between the two lines, and it's still well within the bigger uptrend as well as some of these support lines. So I would say it's a healthy sign within this bigger move. So we have this similar thing happened back in June this year. So that was also a bit of a dip, and then a quick up, like all the way back to the top half of the box. So instead of this box, let me draw the center line like what I show you in other charts. So this center line of the box, again, is repeated if you're not new to my sessions. I'm picking this line based on how many candlesticks are able to touch it, either head, tail, or wick. So if I enlarge this as much as possible, yeah, that's not touching anything, so this is good. So you see here we've got around 5 candles, another 3, and another 3, another 2, so another bunch. This AR is close enough, and one over here, plus a couple, and then a couple. That's the most, I would say, the line cutting through most candles at this level. So that's how you define the center line of the uptrend or downtrend, or even horizontal trend. So the key of this line is, while we talk about the prices would bounce between the ceiling and the bottom of the channel box, you'll find times where it hovers along the center line, or basically bounces off from the center line, much like these scenarios, before a full leg happens. So that's the reference usage of the center line. Okay, this I would say for the daily, just to cross-reference what we have over here. This definitely isn't this now. This would be 50 to 60%. So that's basically after the LPSY, so it should match this one. Accordingly, in the daily, now this would still be 60, because it's still trading within the lower half of the upward channel box. So you see it's got rejected by this center line right now for the past 4 days. This would be 40, aligning to what we have in the weekly chart. This will be further down the line after the preliminary support, this PS. Okay, so Litecoin, while it's having its uptrend and gaining a bit of momentum, so I would say it's still positive in a sense, but be careful of the swings that's going to come. It's still building up. I don't think it's going to over yet, just that when it challenges once again the center line of this channel and eventually the white line over here at around $130, that's when a bigger rejection would happen, definitely, especially we've got this peak at around the same level back in end of 2024 and the beginning of this year. So if you have caught the bounce from the sign of weakness, congratulations, just that you notice this rejection currently. So make sure you still have your stop loss in place while you're hoping for a second test or even an up thrust to come. See you in the next session.